We're recording. We're on.
Yay.
All right, Lynn.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lunch with Lynn series this week. And of course, today you can see on the main screen is my good friend, Dr. Judith Swack. She is one of the most special people on the planet to me
Aw.
because I love the fact that she's a scientist and she does all the woo woo work. That's my favorite combination. So, Dr. Judith Swack is actually a biochemist and an immunologist. She's a master NLP practitioner, a certified hypnotherapist. She's just a visionary in the field of energy psychology. And she has so much knowledge about the topic we're going to work on today. I talk with her all the time. I work with her just because of the work that I do. You'll find out it has a tendency to become attacked. I call it getting bombed. So you'll hear me calling it that today. You get bombed by the dark side because of what you do. And I know there's a lot of light workers that have been contacting Judith and me and a lot of other people saying, look, what is going on? Because we are just getting creamed out here. So this show today is especially for you folks. But I digress. So Dr. Judith Swack, I'm so happy you're here. One of my favorite people. Welcome.
Thank you. So, so I've been telling people we're going to out the war overtangle to the public today. It's going to get outed. So, let me start with what's an overtangle and why did we decide that we needed to get this out now? Well, in 2001, I discovered brainwashing. Now, I have developed a healing method called healing from the body level up. And I started doing healing from the body level up back in 1986. So here it is several decades later, and I find brainwashing. I'm like, well, why did it take me so long to find brainwashing? Because it's hidden. It's hidden from the conscious mind. It's sneaky and subtle. So I discovered brainwashing patterns and thought, oh my God, we've got to do something about this because there's poison in the collective unconscious. It's running us like puppets. We don't even see it. It's invisible to us and it owns us. So I called these patterns overtangles because they're demonic networks that basically encase you in a net of negative dark energy, and that causes distortion. It lenses your sense of reality through these dark lenses, and you perceive everything through the storyline, and you don't know you're being brainwashed because it's everywhere. It's everywhere in the culture. So when COVID-19 hit, I could really feel a particular war overtangle. I've mapped about 40 of them, help us God, and I don't think it's the end of the list here. There's one that just really blew up. It blew up and just put a completely dark and heavy dampening blanket of fear and anxiety energy around the whole planet. And I could feel it, Lynn could feel it, anybody who's psychically sensitive could feel suddenly that we've been just flattened by this heavy curtain of dark energy that just plopped down and crushed us. Boom. And I'm like, get off me now. I know what this thing is. And I took it off me. I took it off my business, took it off Lynn, and thought, okay, not doing this. But it's still going on. A lot of people are being oppressed by this. I thought, you know what? I'm tired of doing this one person at a time. So Lynn and I, we did the COVID-19 phobias. Like, let's get rid of that from the collective. Said, all right, let's get rid of this. So the particular overtangle that basically collapsed on us like a dark curtain is called the war overtangle. The war overtangle. And overtangles, as I said, they're supernatural entities from the dark that form a network of negative energy so large that it contaminates large organizations and segments of society throughout history, which is why you don't see it, because you think, oh, this is just real life.
Since it's so sneaky, Judith, how would somebody that's listening to us today, how would they even know that they might have one? What's a symptom?
Well, a symptom of an overtangle would be depression, hopelessness, and struggle.
And in what
Depression,
areas of their life?
well, every area of their life. If you even have one area of your life where you're struggling, you have an overtangle. And if
And
you
just
look around and your family has it and it's in the culture, it's an overtangle. So I'm going to give an example, a really easy to see example. It's not one we're doing today, but it's very easy. There's an overtangle floating around for the last 5,000 plus years, really 10,000 years, called the gender overtangle. Now, the opening message, the toxic belief system that has brainwashed the culture and runs us, is women are inferior to men. What? Look, you see it? You see it everywhere. You read the Old Testament, Genesis, they don't even mention the women. They only mention the boy children, just in case you want to know.
and there's still cultures today that they're all about the boy children.
Well, so 5,000 years at least of recorded history goes back at least 10,000 years. Some archaeological finds on that. So anyway, so first of all, let's look at this message. Women are inferior to men. So what's the result of that? So women are sexually abused and raped, and nobody takes notice of that. They're bought and sold as property. They get paid less for the same work. They aren't allowed to get educated, or they're frowned upon to do men's work, this kind of thing. So first of all, it's a lie that women are inferior to men. Let me just be clear about that. For those of you who believe that, no, that's a lie. And secondly, why is it evil? Because souls have no gender. So this overtangle prevents people from achieving their full potential, their full soul potential, just based on the gender of the body they chose. What? All right, that's offensive. Now, how does that lie become real? Because it's a lie and it's not real. How does it become real? Well, guess what? It gets written into laws, religious rules, and cultural norms. You see it in the literature, you see it in the laws. In 1920, if a woman wanted to be an engineer, she could apply to all these engineering schools and they would turn her down because she's a woman, not because her grades didn't match or she didn't have an affinity for engineering. They just turned her down. All right, now, how do you change those? Oh my God, I've been clearing them off of individuals. How you change it in the collective takes years, decades. Look at how long, several hundred years, probably starting with the French Revolution, we're trying to reverse the gender overtangle. We're still fighting it. Now we've got the Me Too movement. I mean, really, it's still in the collective, we're still fighting it. But if enough people disbelieve it and throw it off and change the laws and change the rules and change the norms, then they can reverse it. But there has to be a tipping point. There has to be enough people in the collective that don't believe it, that see that it's wrong and tip it. So, wow. So the war overtangle is everywhere. It's got a different opening message. Something equals war. And how does that screw with you? Well, it makes every little thing a fight. Every little thing's a fight.
And this can be anything. I mean, me personally, when you and I first started working on this, I would get hit and it was usually something physical that it literally would attack and hurt one of my animals. Everybody that knows me knows I have cows and donkeys and dogs, and I got my own little zoo going on over here. So it was always something to hurt an animal or one of my pieces of farm equipment. My tractor, I'd have a brand new tractor and the tractor wouldn't work. And even the shop couldn't get the tractor to work and be like, what the heck is going on here? But now it has changed so much. To me, it's even more insidious now, because now it's like, it's a mood thing. So you kind of have to know yourself, because, I'm normally a happy-go-lucky person. Then all of a sudden I get hit with that despair or that hopelessness that Judith was talking about a couple minutes ago, where all of a sudden it's like, somebody literally just pulled the wool out from underneath you and you're like, where did my whole world go? Like, just like somebody sucked all the air out of your world. And then I go, okay, I know what this is, but you literally have to be consciously aware that that's, how it might be attacking you. because unless you know that, then you'll get a lot of clients who have friends that'll just be like, I'm so depressed and I don't know why. Or I literally just don't see any hope on this planet. Or, I mean, it can be very drastic, that mood change. For me, it would just happen in a snap, though. It wasn't something over time. It was just like, boom, I'd go from being happy to what in the world just happened.
Exactly. So the opening message. So every overtangle. So I think this is a thought virus, right?
That's an awesome, I love that analogy.
Yeah, it's a thought virus. It's in the air. You breathe it in. It infects you. And but it infects you with a message. It infects you with a thought. So gender, women are inferior to men. The war overtangle, something equals war. But all 40 overtangles, they all have a different opening message that's just stupid and irrational and nasty. But the message, as it spins out, always funnels down to the same ending, which is give up, don't bother. So anytime you feel give up, don't bother, it's an overtangle infection. And I'm showing war because it flared up with COVID really badly. And it is the most common and the worst overtangle I've ever found. So I thought, you know what? Let's do this. And let's get it out there so everybody can get rid of it and tip. The tipping point, like war is not a thing anymore. You listen to the language on the COVID. Oh, it's a battle. We're going to win the war against COVID. They use all these war metaphors. Really? And then everything's a struggle. You can't get your hair cut. You can't go to a restaurant. You can't go out the door. And now people are dirty and people are germs and people can infect you and unknowingly because they don't even know if they're infectious and they could be contagious 3 days before they get it, or they may carry it and never get it, but be contagious. So you now have to, so now people are germs. Oh my God, the new STD.
And even in Florida, what's funny is, but you can't go to the hospital even if you are sick.
Oh, right.
So services are shut down.
Right. So people who have other illnesses,
yep,
which still exist regardless, cannot get served. And then people are not being treated for actual things because, for example, I had a client whose mother needed a pacemaker and the battery was running out last year. So they'd come back in a year. Well, guess what? A year later, their offices were shut down for 3 months because they weren't seeing non-essential patients, meaning non-COVID patients. And during that time, the battery ran out. Mm-hmm. So, here she is. She's like, all of a sudden, one day she's dying. They rush her to the emergency room and go, oh, you need a new battery. You should have come in 3 months ago. Hello. They put it in. They put it in the emergency room. I mean, she was literally that close. You can imagine how pissed off her son was. Anyway.
Well, and then they take all your joy away. You can't have a family get together. You can't go anywhere. You can't congregate with anybody. You can't go to the gym. You can't get rid of your stress.
No. And then they come up with a simple answer that actually will make a difference. Wear a mask. Don't breathe on people. And then what? People are fighting that. Don't tell me I have to wear a mask in public because you're impugning my freedom. I'm an American. I have rights. Right. So there's no common sense. No common sense. Right. What's the big deal? You wear a mask when you're in public with people. You wash your hands so you don't infect them and you stay distanced. So you don't breathe or cough on somebody and give them a germ. Really?
Right. So other than COVID, can you give them some examples? Like you and I talked about relationships, you can have a war overtangle, money and success. I know a lot of people have written into me lately, especially with COVID, how do I make money? How do I live? How do I survive? How does that success and money look in terms of a war overtangle? And family too, because now most people are stuck in their family unit.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
And they're saying divorces are going to go through the roof, either babies or divorces.
Right.
One or the other.
Right. So again, remember, these are toxic belief systems. These are toxic messages that you believe. So something equals war. Now, it creates a story, and it's a story with characters and a script, and it plays you. It owns you like a puppet, and it plays you. So here's the script. The script is there are two characters, the conqueror and the vanquished slave in this overtangle. Each overtangle has its own set of characters and script. So the storyline is you can't get what you need without going to war to get it. That's the rule. So if you need something, you ask yourself, is it worth all that trouble to get what I need? If it is, you gird yourself up, you prepare for battle, and you go fight for what you need. And you ask somebody for something, even if it's normal and reasonable. And if they're also in the war story, and there's a lot of that around, they will react to your reasonable request by reacting as if it is an attack on them. So now, how do they respond to your reasonable request? They counterattack you, or they stonewall you, they put up a wall, or they surrender and give you what you need, but begrudgingly, so it comes poisoned. So then if you need something, you feel, well, maybe I'll do without it. Maybe I'd rather not go to war. Maybe I just better forget that I need anything at all and stop asking. So you still don't get your needs met. Now, the person who, by the same token, is playing the vanquished slave, if you're nice to somebody and you help them out and you give them something, they consider that you're the loser. So you can't give somebody something without being a loser. You can't get what you need without going to war to get it. So this means that every little thing that you do in your life in that area becomes a fight. So, for example, and the cliches in the culture tell you it's running. So on relationship equals war, you hear nonsense like, all's fair in love and war. And you see in the movies, you see all these movies, these romantic comedies about people who are secretly in love but are afraid to tell each other, and then they lose each other and find each other. And are they going to find each other? Are they going to? And think about this. When people get married, it's usually a happy day where people expect they're going to live forever, happily ever after with their beloved. They have lovely pictures of growing old together and taking care of each other, maybe raising families. They have family and friends around them who are happy. And then what? Then it degenerates and they end up getting divorced. That's not what they were signing up for originally. So they thought when they got married, it's such a shame. It's such a terrible disappointment. I feel so bad for them. They're so happy on the day they get married, then it falls apart. Why? Because they start to think, oh, I can't get what I need without going to war for it. And if you ask me for something, I'm going to counterattack you. And that just shreds any kind of reasonable relationship. So in that pattern, you never get win-win. You never get two people coming together to collaborate, be creative, and come up with a win-win solution that works perfectly well for both of them because they're against each other. So it shreds relationships. It also is the biggest interference to making money I've ever seen. So money equals war. You have to go to war. You have to work at a job that you hate so you can survive. You can't just make good money doing your soul mission. Nobody wants your gifts. Nobody wants what you care about. It has no value. So you have to just get any job you can. And look at this now. We've got people who go to college. The loans are unbelievable. They get an education. They can't get a job in the profession that they want, that they got an education for, because they have to pay off their student loans. So they just have to get any jobs that can pay off their student loans and forget doing their soul mission. The other thing is, these are dark side entities. Not only are they trying to stop you from doing your soul mission, but they're trying to pervert love. So you get love equals war. So people go, we love each other. And then what? They beat up on each other. They hurt each other. They beat up on each other. They insult each other. They're nasty to each other. They go to work and behave perfectly because they have to behave at work. And then they come home and decide they can relax and be their true self, which is their bad self. Well, why would you bring your bad self home? Well, don't the people you love deserve your best self? And why would you ever want to be your bad self? And why would you only be your good self at work and bring your bad self home? Why don't you be good self everywhere and then heal your bad self? Really, what's that? So this is just nonsense. So when you look at overtangles, you have to step back and go, what is going on here? This is so stupid, but you don't think about it because you see it everywhere. And then you think it's funny because it's in the movies and it's in the literature and it's on the news. And you think this is real.
It makes it more common. Like everybody has this problem. It's not just me. Everybody has it. So it's normal.
It must be normal. Well, it's not. Pay attention. And you know what else is flaring now? Not only COVID, politics equals war. and race equals war. That flared really badly. That's been flaring really badly for like the last 8 years. And so what's happening? People are dividing. They should be coming together and collaborating, win-win, and they're dividing. This is the war over thing. This is terrible. This is why we're putting this out there. This has to be stopped. We need all of you to help spread this. Spread the cure, not spread the overtangle.
So are there any other pieces to this? Because you keep talking about how this is so hidden, it's so kind of insidious. So are there any other pieces to this that we need to know about?
Yes. So when you have an overtangle, you need to be able to recognize the message and the storyline and the characters. And you need to go, guess what? This is a story. This is an illusion. I'm not playing this. And you need to pull out the characters. We're going to teach you how to do that in the video that you buy. And because we have a detailed protocol for this, you know, pull out the storyline, pull out the characters, quit the play, you know, untether yourself from the puppet strings. But the other thing is, this is the dark side, and it feeds on your negative emotions, and it feeds on trauma. So how does it own you? Well, it hides. It hides itself. Part of it is you think it's normal because you see it all around you, but it also causes you to hide from your life. It keeps you from protecting yourself from these overtangles, and it keeps you from using your common sense. It keeps you from using your head to think. It prevents you from using what you've learned. How many people have read self-help books and then don't use them? I mean, it teaches you something that would be very useful and you don't implement it. Well, why not? It would work for you if you did. Why don't you? Does that make any sense? No, that's an overtangle saying, don't use this. Don't use it. And not only don't use it, but don't share it with anybody. Don't bring light. Don't teach anybody anything. Don't make any suggestions. Don't help. You know, the other day I went out to dinner, and our server had a cast all over her hand, swollen finger. She'd broken her arm. She was trooping around because she was left-handed. She broke her right arm, so she was still, you know, showing up for work. And I felt bad for her. She'd just broken her hand the other day. So I said to her after dinner, you know, if you want, come over here. I'll put on my mask, give me some hand sanitizer. I'm a medical intuitive, and I will do some healing on your arm, so we'll heal up twice as fast. And she's like, really? Thank you very much. So she comes over, I put on my mask, I hand sanitize, I touch her cast, I feel where the energy is, I run my hand over her body, I turn on her circuits, I clear the trauma out of her, and her fingers wiggle, and she feels so much better, and her balance actually recovers, her balance, she felt so much better. I offered. It took me all of 5 minutes, maybe 10. She was grateful. Bring it. Bring it. But then, of course, oh, no, I'm not going to offer. People are going to think I'm weird. You know, all these excuses to not show up and not offer and do things half-assed, not really be there. That's overtangle crap. How are you going to accomplish anything in your life if you hold back? Really. And you got to listen. And guess what? If you listen to where these ideas and thoughts come from, they are not coming from inside your body. These are superimposed entities. They're entities. They come from outside. If you pay attention, where is the message coming from? It's coming from out here. It's coming from out here.
But they will try to trick you and make it seem like they're coming from in here.
So pay attention, because they don't. Pay attention to, because this is the radio receiver, but pay attention to the location of the broadcast, because the message is coming from out here, over there, below you, over there, but not from in here. This is not you. And they make it think it's you because they broadcast, you hear it in your radio, but this is not the source of the message. So very sneaky. Very sneaky.
Well, I'm just so glad that we're bringing this to light, because this has been just the last 2 years, Judith and I have been working together on this, and it has been an absolute eye-opener for me, just in terms of how rampant it is across the globe. And just even think, and I hate to keep going back to COVID, but just even think of COVID, how we have people that you can't have a normal conversation with anybody anymore. If your viewpoint is different than mine, we have to argue about it. Like nobody can agree to disagree anymore.
Right, because you can't collaborate. You can't do win-win. In a war rectangle, you cannot collaborate. Another thing, these particular entities, one of the characteristics of an infection in a system, even between two people, if they're infected, is that people get really angry and fight about nothing. And they'll even be saying to themselves in their minds, well, they're fighting about nothing. What are we fighting about? This is nothing. Why do I feel so angry?
But they can't stop themselves either.
Right. So because, and why do they do that? Because guess what? The overtangles, remember, they feed on your negative emotions. So they churn you. They shake you and they trigger and shake you to produce, they squeeze you for all the negative emotion juice they can get. And they foment it in you. So you end up acting out, being acted out, really, all these negative emotions, and they sit back and, drink you with a straw. Oh, that was good. Right?
So give them some examples. Like what are the most common, because you said war equals, but what are the most common ones? Like, is it life equals war? I know one that I had at one point was my life equals war. So it
Right.
got really specific.
Well, they're more, as we said, life, relationship, you said money, success, family, politics, race. I mean,
so those are the most common ones that people come to you with, not even more specific than that?
no, they're really not. They're pretty general. They're really not very specific because they're an overtangle. So they're in the collective.
And how do you figure out? So here I am, let's say I'm having, everything's great with my relationships, everything's great with my job. But like one of the most typical things I hear is I make enough money, but the money just like it's poof, it's gone. Like I don't even know where it went. So how might they even figure out that money equals war or my bank account equals war?
I would say, look, pretty much this is so common. I think 75% of humanity is infected with this at any given time. And pay attention here. Even if you personally are not infected with it, you are at the mercy of the people who are infected with it because you're living in the toxic environment. So you are a civilian casualty. You're collateral damage. So as I said, if you wanted to go to engineering school in the 1920s and you're a woman, even if you didn't believe in this, you couldn't go because you're collateral damage. So if you are struggling in any way, in any specific area of your life, and every little thing is a fight, and every little detail is a struggle, you can pretty well guess that you're going to be 75% or 95% probability that you have a war overtangle. That's your first guess always. It could be other things, could be phobias, it could be dysfunctional family system patterns, could be traumas. But usually, once I found these brainwashing patterns, when people come in, we usually start by clearing trauma off of them. But after that, the biggest patterns are overtangles. They come up right away and they feed on the traumas. So I would say it's a good guess if you're struggling, you have a war overtangle. And you just have to figure out what area of your life and name it. Right. So,
and that's the reason why in the last year, one of the biggest things that I've been trying to work on with people is traumas. Because, and your body can say, well, this is a trauma, whereas your being, your soul, it doesn't even register as a trauma with them. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's kind of like I got to clean it out from both directions because I find that these things can feed on either one, no matter who says it's a trauma.
Right. I say treat it on the ground and treat it in the air. So treat it in 3D reality and treat it in the etheric arena. You got to hit it from both sides because they come through the dimension and they feed on your trauma. But there was something else I wanted to say about this that you just reminded me. I thought when I first found this, I was all happy that I was going to get a Nobel Peace Prize for ending war. okay, I'm going to clear the war rectangle. People aren't going to be fighting. There's not going to be war. Everybody's going to collaborate, win-win. We're going to evolve together. I had this just beautiful, lovely, idea. And then after a year and a half of treating people, because look, I'm a scientist, so I follow people up for long periods of time to check the results and see what happens. What I found was they don't stop fighting and struggling, but they stop fighting and struggling about every little tiny stupid thing. So if you clear war energy from a particular area of your life, then you get what you need. It becomes straightforward. You can have win-win relationships. You can develop collaborations, and you can move ahead and evolve. However, there are some things in life that you still have to fight. You have to go to war for because it's really important. It's not happening. And in those cases, you have the energy and the bandwidth to focus on the one thing that's important and see it through, because you're not being divided and conquered and dribbled into little, pieces, because every little tiny little thing is a struggle. So that's eliminated. And then you can, get reasonable expectations met, and then focus on what you really need to fight and go for it and win. So I've literally
it's not just focus, because I had a period of time where I was just so tired and so fatigued, and I'm checking my body for fibromyalgia and all these different medical things, because that's me. I'm going right to the body.
Right.
And it just was, I was just constantly being bombed by all this nonsense. And finally, when you could get all of that off of you, you had the bandwidth where now all of a sudden I'm back to being the Energizer Bunny again.
Right, because they feed on your energy, so they drain you, and they also divide you into causing you to waste your energy on all this little stupid shit. And then basically, they take you out. So they take you out in a lot of different ways, which is why we've developed this package. I'm going to run you through in the
so
package.
Talk us through the package. What do they get with this?
All right. So what you're going to get is you're going to get this interview, but the working package is you're going to get to see my smiling face or hear my lovely voice run you through clearing the war overtangled messages. So I've got a list of 20 messages, and I'm going to basically teach you the technique for clearing war overtangle energy off of you. And I will basically be live running, check yourself for this, check yourself for that. If you feel it, if you have a twinge, you can muscle test to see if you have it. But if you even have a twinge, if you suspect you have it, reach into your body, reach into your energy field, pull it out of you, cleanse everything around you in your environment where this is polluting or contaminating or sliming your energy field, your environment, what's going on. And then the second video is going to be the hiding strategies, the 250 to 300 different ways, sneaky ways, the overtangle causes you to hide from your life. And I literally have mapped 200 different ways, and I'm going to read them one at a time. And if you even have a twinge that you do that, you're going to process that energy and get it off of you. So that by itself should take care of anywhere from a half to 3/4 to 100% of that overtangle infecting you in that area. Now, remember that these energies feed on traumas. So you may not be able to find or clear all the complex traumas that you're carrying that it's still feeding on, because these are parasites. So after you've gone through the protocol and cleaned yourself out, you may need some professional assistance from an HBLU practitioner to find the traumas and the other dysfunctional family system patterns and whatnot that it's still feeding on and attaching to. But basically, you'll get the overtangle out, and then you'll just have to clean up just a little sterile technique to clean up what it could feed on or attach to, just to get all of it out. But not only do I show you how to clear these things and how to find them, which you have to find them first to clear them, but I also teach you how to protect yourself from other people who have them, even if you don't. Remember I said collateral damage? So, yep.
So with this, they'll be able to clear the majority of the war overtangles that they have at home. Now, is this just for themselves? Can they use it, with their spouse or their significant other or their kids, or would they have to actually do that on their own?
Well, when we do an overtangle, the technique involves summoning all humanity and leading all humanity through the overtangle protocol with you. You summon all humanity in spirit. And I'm hoping that that makes a dent. But if you know people specifically who have this and you bring them in person, I encourage you to bring them in person, bring it to their awareness, and have them do the protocol along with you. Spread the word, multiply it, because the more people that can see it and are aware of it and know the techniques to clear it and know the techniques to protect themselves from getting it again or being affected by other people who have it, the less power it will have, and the faster we'll get to the tipping point where the whole thing will finally blow up and collapse.
I'd love for that to take place in 2020. This has been a wild and wonky year, so you never know.
Oh, I also, of course, not only are you going to get the videos, you're going to get the written protocol. Yep, you're going to get the written protocol of what I'm going to be leading you through. You get it in writing.
And for those of you who maybe don't like videos, because I know a lot of my people are like, they don't want to have to sit down and watch something, you're going to get the audio and the video. So if you want to just load up that audio of the whole clearing, then you can load that up on your phone and just have that running while you're listening. And also, even though she's going to go through the top 20, if there's a different war message that you've identified, just go ahead and bring that up in your awareness while she's clearing these other ones, and then it'll start clearing that one out for you as well. So it's very, very versatile. We wanted to make sure you had this so you could do this at home for yourself.
Absolutely. So, so again, how would you know you have a war rectangle? Pretty much assume you have one. Assume it. And any place where you ask for something reasonable and you get a fight, or every little detail of something seems to be a struggle, right? Or you just can't get ahead, or you feel give up, don't bother. You hear that message, you get that whoosh, give up, don't bother feeling. That's how you know.
Well, and I love that she calls it energetic hygiene. So let me just introduce this concept, because this unfortunately isn't just a one-time thing. You're not going to just like listen to this once and go, okay, I've washed my hands of every war overtangle I could possibly get from this moment forward. I mean, we do this, hopefully not on a daily basis, but maybe a weekly basis. I'm going to say all of a sudden there's some small area of our world where it's like something's just not going right. And we'll be like, okay, is this a war overtangle? That's one of the first things you ask. And you may have to go through this protocol again. And then poof, everything seems to be better. It's interesting. Just this past week, I got hit by one. And of course, my riding horse went lame for absolutely no reason out of the blue. Cleared the war overtangle. The next day he was fine. And then all of a sudden my dog went lame. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I had to go and clear some more stuff. And now everybody's fine. So it just can hit you in the weirdest ways. So for me, one of the ways was also, I guess I just want to let people aware out of example is it's like when all of a sudden something's draining your pocket. Right. It's like, you got to get the vet here for that, then the vet here for this, and it's like, wait a minute, why do I have to keep having something make me miserable and suck away a resource, whether the resource is my time or my money? That's still a resource.
Or your energy or attention.
Yes.
Or emotion or joy or anything. Right. So, all right. So this protocol is going to teach you how to recognize war overtangles. It's going to teach you how to clear overtangles. It's going to teach you how to stay clear of them. And it's going to teach you how to do energy hygiene. So I basically think oral hygiene. In the morning, you brush your teeth. In the evening, you brush your teeth. Well, in the morning, you can do the Overtangle protection prayer. And in the evening, you can do the Overtangle protection prayer. So oral hygiene, energy hygiene, and you protect yourself morning and night. There you go.
I love it. It's nice and easy and it's to the point. And you may look at the protocol and go, wow, this is several pages, but believe me, you'll get it at a clip. And that's, again, one of the reasons why I had Judith go ahead and do this in an MP3, so you can go ahead and put it on and play it and run it and be aware of what's going on while you're running it. But that just makes life so much easier.
Now, remember, you can have personal issues that it's feeding on. And there is help, because I have trained, thank God, I have trained a bunch of HBLU practitioners all over the country. So if you need extra personal help, contact my office, Judith at hblu.org, Judith at hblu.org, and we'll connect you up with somebody in your area. Okay, help you through it.
Very good. Well, I'm so excited. I'm so grateful that you were willing to do this, because I just really feel that this is something that was so needed. Especially, I hear from so many light workers, and I think this is really going to help all of you people out there who are, and when I say light worker, it isn't just somebody even doing what we do. You can be the light at your office, where you are that person that in the office, you just make everything feel yummy. This still can go after anybody that just is bringing light to the planet in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
Because that's another question I get. Why would they come after me? That makes no sense.
Yeah, well, because as I said, the Overtangle doesn't want you to show up and doesn't want you to do your soul mission. Give up, don't bother, and do not bring light. Right? Do not bring light. Feels threatened by that. So guess what? My attitude towards these Overtangles are, you show yourself, you die. Snap.
And you've got to love her enthusiasm for all of this.
So yeah, so let's lift the dark cloud here. Let us not live under the oppression of dark side entities. Really, let us not do that, okay? And so help us get it out there. Help us tip it. Help do mass clearing. Grab everybody you can get who has it, which is pretty much everybody, and cleanse it.
So if you want more information, you can go to my page. You can go to thebodychannel.com, and it has Judith right on the homepage. And Judith, yours is hblu.org. You can go to either one, and there'll be all kinds of information about the package. We'll post these interviews up on both pages so that you guys can see it through the weekend. If you purchase the package, then you get this interview as well as all the other videos and audios and PDF files on how to do this particular protocol and clean yourself up and clean everything out for you and your family and your friends to
And
get
the world.
to that tipping point. Yep.
And the air.
We're very passionate about this topic. So Judith, I'm so grateful for you coming on. Is there anything else you want to, last words of wisdom for everybody?
No, I think we've said it all. Now we just need to do it.
There we go.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us for Lunch for Lynn. We're going to have 2 more this week. We're going to work on demonology, and we're going to work on some more dark entity stuff on Wednesday and Friday of this week, all for Halloween week. I just thought it was appropriate. And also, remember a year ago, Judith did a curses seminar for us. And if you purchase this package and you haven't heard of that one, that is another one that's a great package to go with this, because to me, they go so hand in hand. You also have the ability to purchase that particular program at a discounted price as well if you purchase the Overtangle one today. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. Thank you, Judith, Dr. Judith.
You're welcome, Lynn. All right. Bring light.
Bring light, everybody.
Bring light.
We'll see you Wednesday.
Bye.